The drive was desolate, comprised mostly of desert landscapes that stretched as far as the eye can see. Small towns speckled the highways, most of which only had a single gas station. Six hours later, I arrived at the remote spot where I'd be car camping for the night, Saddlebag Lake. And eventually, I drifted off into a restless night of sleep. It's about 7 a.m. now. I just made some coffee and just taking a slow morning, waking up, trying to stay warm. It is quite cold out today. My car said it's below 40s, which it might be. It very well might be. I forgot to take the plastic bottom off my cook system and literally caught on fire and melted everywhere. So I am, kind of mad about that, to be honest. I just got that cook system 2 weeks ago, maybe. Once I'm finally ready for the day, then I'm going to head into Yosemite National Park. I'm so freaking excited to explore Yosemite National Park. So let's go! Driving into Yosemite, I was filled with wonder and excitement. This was the second time I got to experience this drive, and it was exactly as spectacular as I remember it. I stopped at many of the lookouts and soaked up every ounce of the towering granite cliffs that I possibly could. Eventually, I made my way into the valley, where the granite cliffs tower thousands of feet above. My first stop was to pick up my wilderness permit. So I just picked up my permit for my backpacking trip tomorrow. I spent the rest of the day roaming Yosemite Valley, checking out the museum, visitor center, mess hall, and lodge. I even ended up walking to Lower Yosemite Falls with a large group that had just gotten off a tour bus. My trip would start in Curry Village, at Backpackers Camp. From there, I planned to hike to Mirror Lake, then taking the Snow Creek Trail up to Mount Watkins, where I would spend the first evening. From there, I would hike to Tenaya Lake, then Sunrise Mountain. My plan was to spend night 2 just before cloud rest. Day 3, I would wake up, summit cloud rest, and slowly make my way back to Curry Village. That afternoon, I found a place to park my car and pack my backpack. As you can tell, it is raining outside. This is very, very typical of Yosemite's afternoons in the fall. My bag is almost completely packed though, and it is stuffed to the brim right now. That bear canister takes up so much room. You can probably see it back there. It is stuffed. There's still a little bit more space in the top, but getting a little nervous. This is probably like full capacity. I don't think that it could really take any more. Anyways, I'm just going to hang out in here, finish packing things into my bag, and just wait for the rain to stop because I still need to go shower and then have like a mile walk to Backpackers Camp, so. Backpackers Camp was pretty full. There were many groups of excited hikers who were getting ready to set out into the backcountry the very next day. My fears dissipated as I was filled with gratitude to be in such a beautiful place. The next day, I watched the sunrise on the granite cliffs as I drank my coffee and packed up camp. It was a quiet morning, peaceful and cool. I am officially starting my backpacking trip here in the beautiful Yosemite. Oh, so far, this trip here has been just incredible. It is so beautiful here. so happy I get to explore this place even more over the next 3 days. Last night I camped at Backpackers Camp, just in Curry Village, or just outside of Curry Village, in Yosemite Valley. I woke up pretty early. I'm a pretty light sleeper when I'm backpacking, and other backpackers around me were up and going, and it just kind of woke me up. So just got up, drank some coffee, ate some breakfast, and here we are. The first 3 miles on trail were relatively flat. I appreciated that. Knowing that the rest of the day was going to be a huge climb to get off the valley floor and onto the granite mountains that surround it. When I was talking to the park ranger and showing her my permit, they were warning me about how steep the Snow Creek Trail is. As I gained elevation, I understood why the rangers warned me of what was to come. This was a steep climb for hikers of any level. Holy smokes. This is a tough climb. Especially with this backpack on my back. I'm taking it nice and slow, taking it easy, taking rests and shade when I can find it. But yeah, this is a tough climb. But I trained for this. I repeatedly put myself through difficult physical workouts and hikes to prepare me for challenges just like this. I've found that putting myself through hard things inspires growth, builds discipline and mental strength within myself. It also provides me with new experiences and situations that require me to adapt. Skills that I would rely heavily on during this solo trip. This is just unreal being here. Whew. This climb's still kicking my butt. I am taking a break at this lovely shaded spot. The first night I was camping by myself, I definitely felt some anxiety. I was a little bit nervous to be by myself, even though I was camping with other people around. I think I was also really nervous about bears. For some reason, I just don't think I had like a rational idea of how bears are in this area. After talking to the ranger yesterday, I feel more comfortable. I think also being in an area that I haven't really experienced before by myself was giving me like a little bit of anxiety. So yesterday I spent most of the day just exploring and like getting my bearings for the area, and that helped a lot. I feel a lot more confident being out here. Whenever I tell people I'm doing trips like this where I'm going somewhere by myself for a couple days or an extended period of time, I always get the question, well, aren't you scared? Aren't you worried about being out there by yourself? And the answer is yes and no. I wouldn't say that I'm scared. I would say that I have a healthy respect for going into nature, especially by myself. I would rather do things like this, feeling a little bit scared or feeling a little bit anxious, and still doing it and still having a great time, than to never do anything like this and regret it and always wish that I would have. Okay, time to get moving again. When I actually started doing things that I was afraid of, I found that the fear fades away. I also found that the fear of living a mundane, normal life scares me a lot more than going on adventures alone. And because of that, I choose to do things scared. If you would have told me 2 years ago that I'd be solo backpacking and traveling, I probably wouldn't have believed you. And this didn't happen overnight. It took me various experiences, pushing the borders of my comfort zone and stepping into the unknown with grace and confidence. This flat ground feels like a miracle right now. Oh, that was the hardest climb. Oh my gosh, especially with a pack on. That is probably the hardest part of this trail. Really glad that that's over. That was so freaking tough. I just stumbled upon one of the probably most refreshing things I could have in this moment. I am so happy. One of my challenges to myself on this trip is to cold plunge in a lake or river, and oh man, looks like it's time. That is so cold.
This is it, life's not infinite, it's the only chance we get, so why are we waiting?
Wow, that was freezing.
Why are we waiting? Will it click? Looking for the next new fix, is this the new kind of sick? Why are we waiting? Why are we waiting?
So tomorrow I'll be heading to Tenaya Lake. Oh man, it's so hard to leave that spot by the river back there. That was so lovely. I just had lunch, drank a bunch of water, filtered a bunch of water. I feel completely refreshed.
Isn't life funny? Make some money, spend it all to feel less crummy, and think that we've made it. Think that we've made it. Well, what else? Sit by ourselves, think about the hands we're dealt, all our guilt. Think that we've made it. Think that we've made it.
So just a little bit back there, I made a turn off and I'm heading to Mount Watkins. So this is supposed to give me a really beautiful view of Half Dome. I feel like the climbing has been relentless today. Holy crap. Done with the climbing. No more climbing. I just set up camp and I realized that I would feel a little bit more comfortable with like a couple more liters of water for tonight and tomorrow morning. And so I just looked at the map and there is no close water source at all. So I'm going to take a trek back to the closest water source. Yeah, I am eating some ramen as I'm going. My backpack is like pretty much empty. Feels so nice right now. But yeah, off to find some water. I made it back to camp just in time to watch the sunset on Half Dome. I made some hot cocoa as the sun retreated. The sky grew darker and darker. A sliver of the moon kept me company. One by one, the stars became visible. What a night. Making coffee, of course. I barely slept last night. But one of the most unfortunate things that could happen out on a trail in the middle of nowhere is my cycle started a week early. And I obviously don't have all the stuff that I need. So I'm gonna have to do some thinking today to figure that situation out. So unfortunate. On a better note, look at the sunrise. I just packed up camp. I'm leaving Mount Watkins. I camped on top of it last night and it was incredible. Today or tomorrow I'm gonna be over there at the top of Cloud Rest looking down on Half Dome, which you can't see anymore, but right now I feel great. I don't know if I'll feel that way at the end of the day. I might try to pack out tonight, or I might just end up sticking to my original plan and hiking out tomorrow. We'll see what the day brings, and we'll see where I end up tonight. The trail led me through some of the most beautiful, lush forests that I experienced in Yosemite. There's something truly liberating and empowering about doing things that challenge me. And I may not be alone in this, but I haven't found many others who enjoy this type of physical challenge, which is why I often hike alone. As I approached the lake, I stumbled upon a parking lot that had a few modern luxuries. Trash can, and they also have a bathroom here. Oh, thank goodness. I changed my shorts, filtered water, and walked in the lake for a little while. The water was warmer than the river I had dipped in the day before. It was nice to enjoy the views and have some time without my pack on my back. Just left the lake. Oh man, I didn't stay long, but that was so nice. Just to walk in the water, cool down my legs, cool down my body. Heading to Cloud Rest. I'm guessing that I'm about to climb that mountain that you can see right in between those trees. It's called Sunrise Mountain. So I'm climbing up to there and then climbing up to Cloud Rest after that. So it's about 4 miles to Sunrise Mountain, and then another 3 to cloud rest. Today feels a lot different than yesterday. I've already seen way more people today than I did all day yesterday. And today feels more fun. Yesterday was just hard. Today feels a lot more relaxed. The need to challenge myself is magnetic. It pulls me in. And it's not that I don't appreciate the comforts of today's world, because I do really enjoy the simplicity of modern living. It's the feeling that things are too easy. Everything is readily available at virtually any time. Sometimes I crave a situation that requires me to push myself. I gravitate towards experiences like this, where I have a problem to solve, various situations to navigate, and I'm forced to step outside of my comfort zone. It is getting warm. My pace has slowed down quite a bit. Slow and steady is the way right now. From here, I knew I had one last climb of the trip to make my way to cloud rest. The view on this part of the trail was nearly 360 degrees and completely unbelievable. I took as much time as I could soaking it all in. So right down there is where I camped last night. I walked all the way around this, and there's the lake that I was at earlier today, and then hiked all the way up here. As I grew closer and closer to the top, the spine became smaller and smaller. I could feel the fatigue in my legs. I had sheer granite cliffs on either side of me. One small misstep could send me on an unwanted, steep and quick descent to the valley floor. This was on my mind. I approached every step with certainty and caution. I'm on what they call the spine right now. I reached the summit of Cloud Rest just before 4 p.m. It's hard to put into words how I felt at the top. However, still dealing with my menstrual cycle, I decided to put all my efforts into getting to the valley floor. After about 2 miles of hiking down steep, rocky terrain, I reached a sign that said Yosemite floor was almost 10 miles away. This was a bit discouraging. I didn't know it at the time, but from the top of Cloud Rest, I was 13 miles from the convenience store and almost 6,000 feet above the valley floor, which is over a mile of straight up vertical. That hike alone is a massive undertaking, let alone starting at 4 p.m. with multiple days of hiking with a heavy pack. I didn't let myself even contemplate the journey ahead. I just needed to keep putting one foot in front of the other as quickly as my legs could safely carry me. I didn't know when the store closed. Because I didn't have service, I couldn't check. I figured it probably closed around 9 p.m., so that became my goal. My feet are aching. They're so upset. Oh, and my knees are hurting also. I would really love to get to the Yosemite Valley floor before the store there closes because I need to get some stuff there. So I'm like kind of trying to get down this trail as quickly as I can. But oh man, right now in this moment, it is painful. I feel like every part of my body is sore right now. I should be like 5 miles out. It's just a mental battle now. I can do this. I focused on the incredible views around me instead of thinking about the miles or the pain in my knees or the soreness in my shoulders. I feel like I'm primarily walking with my arms right now because my legs are so dead. I'm like really using the poles right now. But we're making progress. I feel like I'm walking the fastest I've walked this entire backpacking trip, so hopefully it pays off. I was right. On average, my pace downhill was faster than the rest of the trail, but I really had to work for it. Little did I know the trail would only get steeper, rockier, and even more difficult to descend quickly. Eventually, I made up with the John Muir Trail, which I felt a lot of gratitude to be on. I remember thinking to myself that I hope one day I'll be able to complete the entire trail. There was a fork in the road. I decided to take the Mist Trail, and if I could go back and do it all again, I might choose differently. However, it gave me some of the most amazing views of waterfalls on the way down. I began passing them one by one, following the river as it collected into pools, then poured over the granite rock faces again and again, sometimes with more fury than others. I hiked and hiked and hiked, until eventually the darkness overtook me and I couldn't see. I stopped to pull out my headlamp. My knees ached, my feet were sore, and my whole body fatigued. So when I was editing this video, I realized that there was zero outro. I didn't give any conclusion or anything, and that was because I was in really rough shape towards the bottom, as you can imagine. So I wanted to pop in here and actually tell you what happened and wrap up this video. So about 2.5 or 3 miles away from the convenience store is when it became pitch black on me. I had to stop and grab my headlamp and finish my way down the Mist Trail. That was so challenging. My knees were killing me, my legs were just completely dead, but I knew that I just needed to get to the convenience store. About 1/2 mile from the trailhead, I sat down on a rock and I just wanted to cry. I was in rough shape. I had been pushing it hard for the previous 4.5, 5 hours of hiking downhill. My body was trashed, and I just sat down and took a couple breaths, reconnected to the present, acknowledging all the pain that I was going in, and knowing that I was so close to being done. The last 1/2 mile of this trail, or technically the first 1/2 mile of this trailhead, is a paved trail. So that helped a lot. It wasn't as rocky and it wasn't as uneven, but it was still really steep. It was still a lot of downhill, and it was still pretty rough. It was about 9:15. So at that point, I figured the convenience store, if it closed at 9, obviously it was closed. Decided to go to my car first so I could at least take the pack off of my back, and I had maybe a 1/4 mile walk to the convenience store after that. Yosemite Valley is really confusing to navigate, and especially at night. And eventually I found it. So I unloaded my bag into my car, grabbed my wallet, and went straight for the convenience store. And by the time I got there, it was probably 9:30 already. And I was so happy to find that the convenience store closed at 10. And I was so grateful that I was able to get the things that I needed to take care of myself in that moment, and then finally get back to my car and car camp for the night. So this trip did not go as I was expecting, obviously. And as sad as that was, as sad as I was to not be able to spend an extra night up on the mountains, I was in the moment really, really happy to get to Yosemite Valley. I think that it could not have worked out better. As painful as it was going down, I knew that it was short term, right? I knew that this was going to pass and I was going to be able to get in my car, have all the creature comforts, a bathroom, have a nice, comfy, cozy bed, be warm, eat all the food that I could want. So that is how the trip ended. In the end, that trip to Yosemite was so memorable and it was so incredible, and I wouldn't take back a single part of it. All right, that is going to wrap up this video. If you stuck around all the way through the end, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments below what you thought of my experience, and if you would make any changes, tell me what you would do differently in the comments below. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.